conducting himself like a knucklehead on a couple of occasions.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Welcome back to the Chase Brewster Show. I am your host, Chase Brewster. Today I have a very special guest, someone who has become a friend to me personally, has been a huge help to us professionally, someone who's very involved in her community and has been a big help to athletes and everybody in Texarkana and Ashdown area, attorney Olivia Sheppard. How are you today, Olivia?
I'm doing well. How are you, Chase?
I'm very good. I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So, we started the show, the whole concept was change. I wanted to be a part of change. I don't necessarily know what that looks like, but want to change, and I want to inspire, and I want to motivate. And I just want to use my network of people that I have to help influence anybody. If one person gets something from this, then it'll be great. If 100 people or how many ever get something, it'll be a better place. So when I started thinking about change, and as good as baseball's been to me, there is no Chase Brewster Show without baseball, as I'm sure you know. As good as it's been, I didn't want this to be a show of just baseball. And when I started thinking about what change meant to me and the people in my inner circle that really believe in change organically, you were at the top of the list. So I know through the conversations that we've had, you don't feel like that you're a big believer in change or that anybody will care what you have to say in this interview. So I want to, kind of give you your shout out for the things that you do every day, and the attitude that you have toward life is so organic that you don't even realize you touch people every day. So I know I speak as a friend personally and someone who uses you professionally. We really appreciate everything you do for not only us, but everybody in the community. And I know you change hundreds of lives every day and month and year. So we appreciate you and everything you do for us.
Way too kind. I just need you as my hype man, because the way you describe me is better than I could. Yeah, that's.
Well, it's
not all accurate, but I'll take it. Thank you, Chase.
Well, the good thing is we have the next 30 or 40 minutes to tell your accurate side of the story. So I just want to make sure you get the respect that you deserve, because and we've had conversations all over the place. Normally, you're the only woman other than my wife when you call. I'm worried I'm in trouble. So a lot of our me getting in trouble conversations, a lot of times we talk about change. And we just talked last week about WNBA travel. And, you were telling me how the women's gymnastics, is that right, was going on last week and there was no coverage.
Yeah.
How much of a shame that is. So I know you believe in change. And, again, it's very important to talk about those subjects and stuff that's heavy on your heart. But before we get to that, let's tell the world who might not know you, or if anybody's watching this outside of our area, let's give the Olivia Sheppard story. Ashdown High School graduate, fighting Panther. University of Arkansas after that, fighting Razorback, and then went to law school at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock. So I'll just give you a second to talk about, your kind of upbringing and education and kind of what made you go to law school. And obviously there's a lot of different types of law and kind of what you decided to choose and kind of where you're at today and the practice that you have.
Yeah, so sure. You mentioned Ashdown. Born and raised Ashdown, Arkansas. Proud of it. Went to college in Fayetteville. Did Little Rock Law School. I have ended up in family law. I'm a divorce and child custody lawyer, but that's not what I would have told you that I was going to do in college or even going into law school. I probably wouldn't have said that even the first year I was practicing law. I practiced in a civil law practice for the first 3 years after I got out of law school. Wouldn't change it for anything. I learned a lot there. But while I was doing that, I took some family law cases, divorce, child custody. I recently just started as one of the counsel for the domestic violence prevention over in Texarkana. So I kind of found stumbled into something that I didn't realize I was passionate about. Shout out to a friend of mine, Audrey, in law school. I took family law. It's an elective in law school. You don't have to take family law to get your JD. I took that class because she was going to take it, and I joked about the fact that I would never use it, but here we are.
Well, obviously, and just so everybody listening, she does other stuff than divorce, because that is not what we talk about professionally, just so we're all clear.
No, never.
But, I think, and just, as a friend, I think it's impossible to say that you're not a part of change when you do divorce and family law and domestic violence prevention. And obviously those are huge topics and sometimes uncomfortable topics and stuff that, we wish didn't happen, but unfortunately bad things happen to good people. So speak on kind of that a little bit. Obviously you see crazy stuff, bad stuff. I mean, we had a crazy talk a couple weeks ago, and I don't really want to get into it because I don't know what I'm supposed to say or not say. But I know you see random stuff every day. But just talk about that. And I know I'm sure, days where it's overwhelming and a shame and sad. And I'm sure there's a lot of happy days mixed into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's something. There's something different every day. No day of mine looks the same. No case of mine looks the same. There's a lot of running themes. But no two situations are the same. Yes, a lot of sad times, but also a lot of happy times. When in the divorces, for instance, sometimes I have people on their divorce date who have a cake brought in like it's a birthday, happy divorce, things like that. There's celebrations. People decide that they made a wrong decision and they're going to start living their life differently at this point. I had a divorce not long ago, a couple of people who had children together, and before their hearing, they had gone out to lunch together. I've never seen, if I hadn't known that they were married and getting a divorce that day, I would have thought they were besties. And so, it's not all doom and gloom. But another aspect of what I do is preparation. So, prenups, family planning, things like that. What would happen to your estate, and what would happen to your kids, if, something were to happen to you, things like that. So those are always happy times. That's like pre-marriage planning. So, that's the happiest times of people's lives when they come and see me. But yeah. A lot of different aspects in that realm of things, and yeah, when you and I talk, it's definitely not about that. I have a lot of interests, and baseball is actually what brought us together. So that's probably usually what I'm chirping at you about is something baseball related, and then of course it leads into crazy things like talking about the WNBA and U.S. Championships in gymnastics not being covered enough. I don't know how we got on that topic, but yes, it does irritate me. That's something that irritates me.
Well, and that's being a part of change. You can bring a light to that. I didn't know, and I'm not a women's activist. I think that that they should get treated better. Obviously, we have a mutual friend in Marie Harris, who, Sed's wife, who she played the WNBA, and she would go to Russia and in the off season and play. And I think that's what led to us talking about that, because it's a shame that their travel, like they're professionals, and you can get into how much money they bring in or whatever. That's a whole different conversation. But I think it's a shame that professionals have to fly coach for security and just wanting them to play well and whatever. I think that's how it started. And then so obviously Ike is your nephew, and you have a niece that is in gymnastics and dance, I believe, or was. Yeah. Charlie. So I think obviously baseball is huge in your life and gymnastics, and you had a brother who's a very good player and one of the best coaches I've ever been around. So you've grown up in a sports family, and I know it's heavy on your heart. So talk a little bit about kind of that, just being around athletics every day from an outsider looking in, and just talk about obviously you and your firm and your family's huge in the Ashdown community, and I know you guys give back a lot. So if you just want to speak on, how important sports has been in your family, and obviously there's another generation coming up with Ike and Charlie and the Shepherd kind of group. But just speak on that for a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I have a 10-year-old nephew, like you said, Ike, a 7-year-old niece, Charlie. I'm anybody that knows me knows I'm just a crazy proud aunt. Could not be more proud of the two of them. This weekend, I'm dragging a little bit this morning after a weekend of gymnastics meet, baseball games. I was actually just looking at a clip of Ike made this play at shortstop, and I go back on Game Changer to look at the play. I'm that aunt, right? So after the games, I'm looking at the clips. I'm paying for Game Changer. I've got the premium version. I'm that.
And you're
person.
sitting there live, by the way, just so everybody's clear. There in person.
Oh yeah, no. And I'm filming. I'm watching live. Crazy aunt status, definitely. But I'm watching the clip, and I'm crazy proud because I'm his aunt. But it tickled me because I thought of instantly when I saw this clip. You know that play of Derek Jeter when he does the flip. What World Series was it when he does that flip play?
Yeah.
And the announcer says, it's one of those famous clips where he goes, Derek Jeter with the most amazing most amazing play that's ever been by a shortstop. Like, that's the kind of crazy aunt I am, that like he's making a play at shortstop, he's 10, and that's what's going through my head. So like, sports runs deep with us. Where did we get off on that? Tyler, yeah. My brother Tyler Sheppard has been a coach for a long time. Ashdown baseball is something I followed for a long time. Obviously, as an alumni, my brother being a coach there, hoping that my nephew is a Panther one day. Gymnastics is a new one for me, though. I was not a gymnast. I did dabble a little bit in cheerleading, but never got a single flip. Actually, the gym that Charlie trains in now, we laugh about it because my parents, a lot of money was spent on lessons in gymnastics for me just to be able to do one flip for a cheerleader tryout. And in that very gym where Charlie trains now, I remember quitting and saying, I don't care if I ever make cheerleader, I will not try to flip again, ever. And so we laugh and always say she got her skills from me, but clearly they came from her mother. But
Heather and Tyler are both amazing, and I know as a friend in the States we love those guys, and it'll be exciting to watch Ike grow up and kind of be the player he is, and it goes more beyond just family. I mean, I know we talked Jaden Hill's throwing tonight in the playoff game, and
7:30
on Wednesday. Yeah, I know you're tuned in every week. So Braylon was another guy. He's right there behind me on the wall. And a lot of good players come through Ashdown. Cedric Harris, Adam Day, bunch of really good players. And anyway, so we appreciate everything you do for those guys, especially the Sticks kids that go to school there. So again, appreciate everything. So talk about anybody who is considering going into law or the attorney field, and just if somebody was watching this and looking for some guidance, what kind of advice you would give them, and kind of what, how obviously it's changed your life, hopefully for the better, but just speak on that for a little bit.
Yeah, so, it definitely matters what place they're at in life. I interned, I was blessed enough to intern with my cousin Chad Trammell, who's an attorney in Texarkana, and I did that for years before law school. I think I started my sophomore year of college interning there for him, and I can't tell you how much you learn just by going there and doing and seeing and watching and figuring out what's going on in the practice of law before you actually go and study it. I'm sure that can be said for anything, any type of profession. I'm from a family of educators. My mom's been a principal, assistant superintendent in lots of different districts. And when I was in college and making sure what I wanted to do, she had me come substitute at Texas middle school over Christmas break. The weeks worked out to where I was home from Christmas break from college for a week. And that was another, observe and see if this is what you want to do type thing. And those kids chewed me up and spit me out. That was not the profession for me, definitely. Shout out teachers. I don't know how they do what they do, and get paid what they paid, or get paid what they are paid. That's an issue. That's a whole nother episode issue. But so I would just say to anybody who even thinks that they might want to do something in the legal field, go watch different kinds of law. Go to a criminal case, a local criminal case, and just sit in the gallery and watch. And then another day, go to a civil case and watch. Reach out to local attorneys and say, hey, can I just come follow you for the day? That's definitely, the best advice I could give somebody who's toying with the idea of maybe taking that on as a profession.
So I know you're extremely busy, and you actually shared with me the other day, like how somebody, I guess an assistant, I don't know what we want to call them. Is that what we'll call them? So an assistant the night before sends you a list of what you have the next day, which is incredible, by the way. So your day, a week for you is very hectic. So give the listeners like what a normal day is for an attorney.
Yeah, so there's no normal day. There's really no normal day, but I'll humor you and give you a few different versions. The main thing is in what I do is I can have a day planned out, and then it can be drastically different, right? So like today, I told you I blocked out, a big amount of time to do this, and then I had a fire to put out. That's kind of how we usually refer to it. So a problem arises, and you got to get, you might have to have an emergency motion filed quick and try to get an order signed for something to happen. Things like things that pop up a lot during this time. School just started is kids going to different school districts and custody issues are going on. And one parent wants to go to one wants to go to the other. One parent wants this preschool, one wants the other. So sometimes I have a whole day planned out, and I have to drop everything and be able to just focus on something that wasn't even on my radar for the day. But that's one thing that I do is draft and file motions. Another thing I do is client meetings, client phone calls, and then obviously going to court, preparing and going to court, whether it's just a simple motion. So here in Arkansas and most courts, you'll have docket days where there's a lot of cases on a docket, and you will go and sit. A lot of times, my types of cases will be the last one, because if it's something that's contested, that will take a little bit longer. But there's a bunch of criminal cases before that are just a first appearance, which takes just a matter of minutes. They'll do all of those first, and we have to wait. But then there's something called a special setting where you'll ask for for a final case, you will ask for a number of hours and say, I'll get 4 hours. Those will be my 4 hours, and there will be no other cases. It's called a special setting. So those are two types of court days that I have. Let me think what else.
What's your favorite part of it?
Oh, going to court, definitely.
Really?
If I could just do that, but that's that's not. You got to prepare it before you get there. So there's a lot of steps before you get there. Talking and counseling clients through things takes up a lot of time. If I could just put in my brain what I know about their case and give it to them, and then just go do their case in court, I'd be in court every day if I could.
You ever get nervous?
Not nervous. Of course, when you first start out, you get nervous. Obviously, anybody who says that they didn't or don't is probably not being truthful with you. I would say probably now not nervous. It's just if stakes are high on something, you get that adrenaline rush of, I want to win this one. So it's
your lost one you wanted to win.
Oh yeah. But I've also had some really, really sweet victories. And I talk to my brother about this a lot, about the adrenaline rush. I really think it's very similar to, people can disagree, but it's very similar to like, a baseball game when, at the end of the game, it's close. The judge is about to give you the ruling, and you're waiting for any telltale sign of what he's about to do. And just the adrenaline rush is very akin to a very competitive sporting game.
How undesirable to be around is Olivia Sheppard when she loses when she really wants to win?
I'm pretty good about shaking it off, within about 30 minutes. And you always know what it is. I'm a person that will settle something always if there's a risk there. And I can get a settlement that is more favorable than, something severe that would happen. But yeah, try to just shake it off, another baseball term that I like to live with.
You ever have clients get mad when it doesn't go their way? It's you?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody try to beat you up?
Anybody try to what?
Try to beat you up?
Oh, no. There's bailiffs. There's bailiffs and officers in court.
I'll ask you about it, so I just had to ask you.
That's not true.
That is true. I've never met one that couldn't fight. So as we continue to go along, this whole thing, the whole part, like, a lot of people do podcasting in seasons. I did mine in chapters. So chapter 1 was called The Why. And the why for me to do this was to change and to motivate and inspire. And it wasn't really about, like, the likes or the views or whatever. To me, really, like, I am a very simple, like, part of this. To me, the big part of this show is my friends that I know are a part of change, and that I get to, put you guys on a platform and do all the work on my end for the world to see you guys. Is how I look at it, at least, and I hope that's how other people see it. And that was kind of my why, was to bring the world, what I consider great, successful people that are doing change and will inspire people and help motivate. So if you don't mind, just speak about your why and why, it could be why you do what you do, or, just kind of why you are who you are in the community, or whatever the why is you'd like to talk about. But the why, to me, is very important. So I just wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, so like what I was saying earlier about when I kind of decided to get into family law, as opposed to prior to this, to doing family law, I was working for a family firm, Chad Trammell in Texarkana, Trammell Piazza. They do mostly nursing home litigation, and that's something you can get very passionate about. He's very, very passionate about it. When there's elder abuse in a nursing home, he's the guy. He's the one who's going to go in and get the victims and the families, the justice that they deserve. And I would say I was passionate about that, but there's something inherent in you when something is just you. This is a cliche, but it's your calling, and I just get my gears grind when I see somebody mistreated in a domestic sense. So I see some type of injustice in how a child is treated. And I will get on clients too. Clients aren't all perfect. They're people. They're just like you and me. We're not perfect. But when there is that dynamic where there is a situation where one parent is just a bad situation for a child, and the other is not, that's something that gets me worked up, and I can get passionate and get behind and try to get a best result for a client. I don't know if that's something that can be learned. I just think you're born that way. My grandmother used to say that about a lot of things. She would say, I think you're just born that way. And I think, women being mistreated by men, or being in a bad relationship, or being in some type of hole that they can't get out of, or feel like they can't get out of, that's a passion for me of trying to figure out, how to get the best result for a woman. And then on the flip side of that, I always tell people, I'm not just an attorney who represents women, because women are not always the ones that are right. Anybody who knows me knows I have a brother who I love and think is a very great father. I have a nephew, so on the flip side, when something comes to me and I see an injustice on the other side, I get just as worked up about it. So I just think that that's something that, like my grandmother said, you're just born that way. And
so speaking of women,
when I get worked up about something, you just can't put that fire out.
I know. Clearly, I know. So speaking of women, I know you're big in representing women and women empowerment and all the things that we all should do a better job of. So obviously, I wanted to give you a little bit of time to speak about that, and I know that it's a huge topic right now nationally, and something that should be addressed on every level. But I know you do a lot in the community, for women empowerment. So just wanted to give you a second to speak about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That also goes back to, my passion for kids and kids being treated fairly. I look at my niece and nephew and go, one of them was born a little boy and one of them was born a little girl, and why should one be treated differently than the other? I think both of them are the most awesome thing that has ever happened on this planet, and one of them being a girl doesn't change how I view them. I think they're both very capable, smart, talented kids with kind hearts that can do whatever they want and whatever they set their minds to. So I like to keep that spirit and hope that people can view that same thing as how I view my niece and nephew when people get older. I don't know where the disconnect is when we tell children they can do whatever they want. Little girls, don't, you can do anything the little boy can do. And then at some point, in life, some people start to think, well, she can't do that. She's a woman. He needs to be the one doing that, not her. I am in a profession where most are men. I would say on any given day, probably it's maybe an 80-20 split percentage-wise on how many attorneys in the courtroom with me are men and women. There are women attorneys, good women attorneys here in the area, but there's so many more men than us. We are definitely in the minority.
And is that something that can be changed, you think? Like, you think women just are discouraged from going into that, or you think it's just...
I just think it takes more of us saying, like what I said about my niece and nephew. I don't know that my nephew knows that some people treat women differently. And if he does, it hasn't been long that he's known it, right? So if we start raising kids in that way, the more kids that are raised that way and don't even realize, just like Serena Williams, who's the young African American tennis player that Coco? Coco?
Yeah.
She just did really good in the U.S. Open. She hit that really, really fast serve the other night, and I got really into watching the tennis. And he was cheering for Serena Williams. You've never seen anyone cheer so loud as he did, when he was watching Serena Williams. And I saw an interview of Coco though, where she was saying they asked her what had Serena Williams done for the sport, and she said, "Well, I'll tell you this, when something to the effect of when Serena was little, she didn't see any." Anyone that looked like her playing the sport. And it, when I was little, the number one player in the world was Serena Williams. So it just takes evolving and more things, happening. Little girls seeing girls in all the different positions. I don't know that my niece knows at this point that there are more male attorneys than females. She might say he's an attorney, because she only knows, female attorney. So things like that, I think just little things like that, being cautious and of how we talk about women at home. I think it all starts at home. I really do. Learn behavior.
It's really a shame how kids are so innocent in the world. As you get older, it's so unpure, whatever that word is. I don't know that it's evil sometimes, because there's definitely evil that goes on, but I don't know that it's intended evil sometimes. Sometimes it just
right. It's something that someone else learned before them. But that I think that's why if people start making a conscious effort of how they bring up their daughters.
It's good. It's good probably for you, like, to be around Ike and Charlie, because it keeps you, it keeps you innocent as well. Because you don't, I mean, you're protecting them. That's human nature to protect people you love, and you don't want them to be exposed to how evil the world is. So I hate it's like that, but I appreciate you doing that because we need Ike to. Ike will be the shortstop of Chase Brewster in 20. When will he graduate? 2030.
He's in the 5th grade. 2030. I think he's 20.
I'll be retired by then. But if not, Ike will be playing shortstop for Sticks.
That used to seem so far away, though.
Yeah, correct.
The years are going by quick.
Be here before you know it.
Yeah.
All right, so I try to end every interview with what I call 5 moments of truth.
Okay.
And these are important things to me. And they're important because I consider you very successful. And when I read or watch podcasts or watch interviews, there are certain questions that they ask successful people. And I think there's something, you talked about you're born with it or, you just have it or whatever. And I think a lot of successful people have kind of common it things. So this first question is a very important one to me. It may seem very just subtle on the surface, but my first moment of truth is, what's the best advice you've ever received and who gave it to you? And the reason that's important to me is because I think all successful people, if we took all their best advices that they've learned and we did a slide of 100 guests in a row, there'll be something for every young person to take away and know that this is, this could change your mindset overnight or change your work ethic overnight. And so what's the best advice you've ever received and who gave it to you?
Okay, this is the first thing that popped into my head. And this is not a deep thought, but, it really is the advice that I quote most often. And it really is something that helps me in my daily life. So my grandfather used to say, anytime we would, some type of situation would happen and someone on the other side would act as what we deemed to be crazy, he would say, you can't fool with crazies. And what he meant by that was, you are wasting your time, your God-given time that you could be doing something productive if you stop and try to argue with someone who cannot be argued with and will not see the light and will not see what you're trying to say to them. And so I think maybe in my profession that happens a lot where I go, okay, wait, you can't fool with crazies. And it saves me a lot of time and a lot of heartache of trying to figure out what's wrong with me. Why can't I get this person to see what I'm trying to say? And that's not to say that all conversations are not productive and you shouldn't have them. But when you realize that you're fooling with a crazy, just remember you can't fool with crazies and move on. Yes. So I've always thought that was good advice.
Well, it's definitely good advice to choose your battles.
Choose your battles. That may have been the better way to say it, but
as I get older, the most important thing is time, and you'll probably agree as a lawyer, or an attorney. So time is the number one currency in my life, and if you spend that time on people that it's a complete waste, you'll be miserable and not even know it. So moment number 2 is who's been the biggest mentor to you, either personally or professionally? Who's had the biggest change on you and been your mentor?
Yeah, so I've said his name several times already. Chad Trammell, another proud alum of Ashdown High School. He's my cousin. I interned with him over at Trammell Piazza. They have an office in Texarkana, an office in Little Rock. He's, I can't put into words what a mentor he's been to me. Of course, I branched out in a different area of law, but everything about practicing in a civil litigation, which divorce and child custody is civil, it's not criminal. So all of those things translate over into how I practice. I practice more aggressive style than some people who just started family law. And that's why I learned everything I learned. I learned from him. So definitely that we could tack that on to advice for people who might want to get into the legal profession or people who end up going to law school is, try to find a mentor. I was blessed to have one in the family, but try to find a mentor if you can.
For sure. So moment 3 is if you were hiring someone today or somebody asked you, who's the one person we got to have in this area? Who's the one up and coming attorney or lawyer or whatever in your profession that gets your stamp of approval that, everybody needs to know about, and just kind of a chance to shout out, kind of a younger person working really hard?
Yeah, so this one's a hard one for me, and not because there aren't great people doing good things, but the legal profession is one of those professions where, we don't get out of school until we're 25. So, and I like to say that it, depending on what attorney you're asking, the age of a young attorney changes, right? So, I'm still a quote unquote young attorney or baby attorney to a lot of people. I don't even know a lot of younger attorneys here in town. One definitely who's, shout out Crystal Cecil. She's only 1 year behind me. Also went to UALR. She's doing great. Has been doing great for a while. My little cousin is in his second year at Tulane Law, and finding his niche there in maritime law. I kind of wanted him to go into some sports law stuff. They've got some sports law stuff going on at Tulane, but he is smart kid.
And what's his name?
Things Charlie Trammell. That's
Okay.
Charlie Trammell. He another Ashdown High School alumni. We just crank out great people over at Ashdown.
I agree.
But yeah, I would say that's a little bit more of a difficult question for my field than other fields.
Well, you get two answers.
We get started a little.
For it to be a difficult question, you gave two people. That's more than most people give.
Well, yeah.
So,
I wish I had more.
Well, maybe somebody will watch this interview and there'll be more one day. Maybe this will be a part of the change.
I hope so.
So, the two people you named, and going back to your mentor, Chad, there's a huge age gap there, young and old, and what are the qualities that you see in those three people that really stand out? And if anybody was watching, is a trait that they could take away and just know that this is what, a mentor or somebody you view as up and coming, these are the traits that they have that you really, kind of make them who they are, and that people need to deal with.
Yeah, I would just say professional, honorable, ethical. Arkansas is a very small state, and there's not a lot of lawyers, and so it's a very, very small community. So what's different about practicing law here as opposed to a larger state is that your reputation follows you. So what all those people have in common is they have good reputations. They're honorable. They do the right thing. They're not attorneys that you have to worry that they're doing anything except the honorable thing on the other side. And that's really all you can ask and all you want at the end of the day.
For sure. Mo, at 4, what are some goals for you in the rest of this year and for 2023? And that can be personally, that can be professionally, it can be whatever you want. But what are some goals for you as we close out this year and go into 2023?
I can't believe that we're in September right now. Wow. Goals for me, I'm kind of in a good place right now. I really kind of found my niche lately. Goals as far as personal, just keep things moving. I would say I turned, well, I won't say my age, but I turned a big age not too long ago. And I'm really proud of where I'm at. So I guess it's time to get out the notepad and write some new goals, because I've reached some recently.
That's good. We're happy for you. It's never good to not be goal oriented, Olivia. So you need to get your goals now.
That's right. I'm basking in some of them right now, but yeah.
See, I know. I was really hoping you would say, because we've had this conversation before, I know you want a how do I put
place
this
in
on?
New York City.
I was going to be more professional about it, but yeah. So the goal for Olivia in 2023 should be to go ahead and get a house or a uptown condo in New York so I can stay there for free. That's the goal.
Yeah, let's put that on the goals list. I think you hit it. That's a good one. Definitely.
Well, I know that I will be cheering for you to beat that goal sooner than later. But it's a great place. We're going back in November, so I'm excited. So I know you'll be going back soon as well. So
November.
Are you really?
Thanksgiving. Yep.
I just left.
Do what?
I would have just left.
Oh, okay.
We're going early November and early December.
Well, you can. Yeah, early November and early December.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be before me though in November.
Yes.
You can tell me all the cool stuff that I don't need.
Yeah. We got to go to I got a banquet to go to on the 11th, and then I promised Alicia that we'd take her to see the tree and everything. So the tree's not up, so now I have to go back in December. So I'll get to do the Christmas. We just got Rockette tickets today, so we'll get to do all that fun. We've never done the Christmas there, so because the tree's never up when we go to the banquet. We'll get to do it twice.
The Rockettes got canceled last year. It was really sad. COVID.
So you'll do Thanksgiving in New York. We'll take care of Christmas, and then at some point somebody will have to take care of Easter for us. But we'll have every holiday covered on that side of the world.
There you go.
As we move into question number 5, the last one, we talked about being a part of change a little bit. And again, on my side, I don't know exactly what that means, but want to be a part of change and motivate and inspire. As we see the world for what it is on social media and on the news, and sometimes it's not very good, and sometimes it's a beautiful day. You get to deal with that a lot more than us. But talk about just, if anybody's watching this, how we can all be a part of the change and help change for the better. As we finish out this year, just trying to make 2023 a better place for everybody.
I think just living authentically, doing those things that I was saying about, those things I'm passionate about, women's equality, social media, you can definitely use social media to show those things. If you live an authentic life that pushes forward those values, show it on social media. I think that's a good thing and a good way to push those things forward. Call out injustices when you see it. There's that quote that to the effect of those who are silent are doing just as much harm as those who are, saying, the wrong things. And so I think if we can all just kind of make it incumbent upon ourselves to call out things when we see it, maybe, and I'm speaking to me too, preaching to the choir. I need to be better about it, certainly.
Well, Olivia, I know that you were worried that you didn't have much to talk about, but I think the last 42 minutes have been very, very just eye-opening for everybody watching and wanting to get into their profession and, all the things you stand for. So, again, you've been a huge help to me, somebody I'm very happy to call a friend, and we appreciate everything you do for all the Sticks players, the community, for me, for, my family, Alicia and I. I'm very, very appreciative, and I appreciate you coming on the show. And I hope everybody gets something out of this, because I know how kind-hearted you are and how much you believe in these things, and I hope it was worth it on your end. And I hope you got to say everything that you needed to say for both women and people in your profession, and for the nieces and nephews as well.
Yeah, well, it's always a good day when I get to talk to you, Chase. I appreciate you having me on, and I don't know if I have anything anybody wants to hear said, but I'm here. I'm here when you want to hear what I have to say. I'll always speak on things. I don't know if it's worthwhile for anybody to hear, but I'm here and always welcome to have a conversation with you.
It's super ironic, because a lot of times when I start out a conversation, I always go, hey, this is lawyer-patient, confidentiality, and I'm always nervous that something's going to get repeated. And so what I did was I took it and put our conversation in front of a camera. So that was very smart on me to use my privilege to just air this whole thing out. So we really do appreciate you, and I hope that, everybody excited as I am to see this, and we appreciate you. And if you ever need anything from us, please let us know. And again, we appreciate you coming on the Chase Brewster Show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
He conducted himself like a knucklehead.